invocation by Seventh-day Adventists.
Let's pray. Father in heaven, thank you for every opportunity that we have to come together and to discuss things that affect our community. And I pray that you would bless the decisions that are made. I pray that you would, your Spirit would override the discussion, and that it would be fruitful and civil. So thank you for your presence, and we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Sabers.
Here.
Rice.
Here.
Dosher. McCardle. Barrington.
Here.
Allen.
Here.
Charts. Smith.
We have a quorum. We'll start with recommendation by Mayor Bob Everson to reappoint department heads from July 2019 to July 2022. Those department heads will be Michelle Bathke, Finance Officer, Kyle Croce, Public Works Director, Justin Johnson, City Attorney, Billy Kelly, Human Resources Director, Jessica Pickett, Community Services Director, Nathan Powell, Parks and Recreation Director, Scott Schmidt, Cornfels Director, and Kevin Thurman, Golf and Cemetery Director.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Mr. Allen, second by Mr. Rice. Further discussion? Does anybody in the audience wish to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. I'll administer the oath of office to department heads. If you'll stand and raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. I state your name. Having been appointed to the office of, state your office. Within and for the city of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the State of South Dakota and the ordinance of said city of Mitchell. And that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my knowledge and ability, perform all the duties of the office of, state your office. Subscribed and sworn to me this first day of July 2019. Bob Everson, Mayor. Congratulations, I think. Election of officers. President of City Council.
Well, I'll start at least the discussion and say that I was president for, I believe it was 10 years. It was a long time anyway. No. That's why I'm speaking, because I'm going to make a motion. And in all reality, you know, we're all up here spending time. We all know that. We're away from our family, we're away from friends, we're away from work and so forth, and it does take some time. And it does add to it as the president. And Steve has been on it for 2 years now, and really appreciate his efforts and his insight and everything that he's done. But if you guys want, it's probably not bad to pass it around every once in a while. And I don't know if 1 year is the year or whatever, never future councils can decide. But in reality, it's just good to get different perspectives and different insights and so forth. And again, I think Steve has done an admirable job in kind of guiding us the last couple of years and through a transition of mayor and so forth. So appreciate, Steve, everything that you've done. And with that, I'm going to nominate Kevin McCardle as president of City Council.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion for Mr. McCardle as president and a second by Mrs. Charts. Further discussion? You don't get to say anything? Make sure it's a Monday, huh? Okay. Anybody in the audience wish to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Congratulations. Thank you, Steve, for your past service. Election of Vice President of City Council.
I'd like to nominate Danny Allen.
We have a nomination from Mr. Allen.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sabers. Further discussion?
You have time, Danny?
You awake over there?
I'm going to make a little time for this time.
I just want to say Susan also helped out a lot this last year too, and so appreciate you stepping forward and working with us, and all the other extra efforts that you did for the council and for the city. Thanks, Susan.
Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Charles and a second by Mr. Sabers. Is there any further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
I'll
Motion-
abstain.
I'll abstain. Doesn't matter. You can go no, it's going to carry.
Well, I just want-
Congratulations, Mr. Allen. Mrs. Starks, thank you for your service. Item 8, approval of consent agenda items. Items appearing on the consent agenda may be removed by a city council member for discussion at the beginning of the formal agenda items. I will take this time to point out we are going to pull one item off the consent agenda, and that's item G, appointment of members to the Nuisance Appeals Board. We're going to do a little reworking of that or a little more work on it before we vote on it. It'll come back to you on July 15th.
Move approval of the consent agenda items without item G.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Chark, second by Mr. McCardle. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address these items? Roll call, please.
Dosher. McCardle.
Aye.
Barrington.
Aye.
Allen.
Aye.
Charts.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Sabers.
Aye.
Rice.
Aye.
Motion carries. Citizens input, if you need to address the mayor and members of the city council on an item that was not on the agenda, excluding personnel items, please come forward to the podium, state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be given consideration, but no action will be taken at this time. Mr. Olson, welcome back.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Mel Olson. I live at 600 West 3rd Avenue, and I talked to the mayor a little bit this morning when he was at the radio station. I served on the city council, and I signed the petition to keep the one-way streets one-way, campaigned for that, voted for that. Then on the city council, when the businesses came and said, it's going to improve our business if we have two-way traffic in the downtown corridor, I was skeptical, but I voted for that, and I think that's working out well. I guess what I'm here tonight to say is I've changed my mind. I think the street should be two-way. I realize you're on the hot seat in more ways than one, and good Lord, I'm so glad I'm not on the city council tonight. But I'll just talk about my street. You know, it's a mess, and I'm not talking about construction, but when you come off the bypass, it's two-way for a time, and it's always been two-way for a time, and then about where the blind kid lives, it goes to one-way. And now, of course, with the construction, when you hit Minnesota, now it's two-way to Sanborn where you can't cross, and then it's two-way for a while again, and then it's one-way. People are confused. I don't think that's very safe. So I guess what I would urge the council to do is to do what I was unwilling to do and what it's time to do and make it a two-way. Just a couple more items on this. When Jeff Logan came up to campaign for the two-ways in the downtown area, he had unearthed the history of the one-way streets, and the one-way streets were put in to give the citizens of Mitchell an evacuation route for a nuclear, event or something like that. And, I think that time has passed. So I would urge you to do that. I have one other thing. I realize it's out of order, but I'm going to claim privilege as a former city council person. I always thought it was crazy that we would sit as the sidewalk committee, all 8 members, with the mayor at the time in the audience, go through the whole committee process, and then do it all over again in the meeting. So I applaud this little consolidation that you're doing. I think it's about time. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well,
Anybody else wish to address the council? Council?
I've got a couple things. One, the first item, and I was approached about our mosquito spraying and the procedure that they were following and the notification of the timing, and Nathan has taken that information and they're looking at the procedure. The specific item was that they're spraying into areas where people were present at businesses. And the material we're spraying is a irritant from an inhalation standpoint. That's why we say close windows, and we try and do it after dark or after hours. But they're going to look at that procedure and what that entails. The second item, I was approached by Joel Reinisch from Dakota Wesleyan about the opioid epidemic within the state, and a Cindy, and I don't know if I pronounced her name right, S-C-H-U-C-H, Shuck, with the State Office of Association of Healthcare Organizations, is putting a group together so they know who all the players are within Davison County and Southeast South Dakota for the opioid epidemic, and they're having a meeting on July 24th at 12:15. I will attend that, but after that, going forward, they would like a representative of the council, and it probably can be just about anybody. I believe our public safety people are involved with that and other things, and they just want to know who's the group, who are the people as they go for grants and other things within the state and nationally to combat this crisis. So just want to make sure that there is a group trying to spearhead that and putting that together.
Okay.
And that's all I've got.
I'll check my calendar and see if I can get on that too.
Back on the mosquitoes, I'd like to thank Nathan and his crew because I was out the night before the spray and there was lots of mosquitoes, and I was out last night and there isn't very many anymore, so thank you guys.
It's a holiday season. We're looking forward to no mosquitoes, Nathan.
We don't want any.
Will you do any more spraying at the lake before the 4th? I know it's Thursday, but will you do it again?
We just hit it. We can't do it if there's rain or it has to be less than 10-mile-an-hour winds. So we'll be out doing more. We do spot spraying every day.
Sure.
But we'll do some more if the weather permits or if we get any calls in specific areas.
Very good.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Nathan. Anything else? Water quality looks good. We're working on that yet. So. And Nathan had his first ever rental for a paddleboard, right? At the campground. So we've had them for a while and people are starting to use them. So it shows the water quality helps. Okay, hearings on application of West Coast Tacos for a retail on-off sale malt beverage license located at 108 North Main Street, Mitchell, South Dakota. Video lottery is not included.
Public safety has no objection to this.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Rice,
Second.
second by Mr. Savers. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this one? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. On application of Corp Palace Shrine Club for a special event liquor license located in the Masonic Temple for July 28, 2019 for a banquet.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Allen, second by Mr. McCardle. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this one? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. On application to Corn Palace Shrine Club for a special event liquor license located in the Masonic Temple for August 2nd, 2019 for a golf banquet.
Motion approved.
Motion by Mr. Savers, second by Mr. Barrington. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience who wishes to address this one? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. On application to transfer retail on-sale liquor license RL 5771 from American Legion Coacher Getch, Post 18, 107 North Main, Mitchell, to Mitchell Area Development Corporation, 601 North Main Street, Mitchell. The liquor license will be inactive. Motion by Mrs. Charks.
Second.
Second by Mr. McCardle. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this one? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Request for authorization of contingency funds to purchase 2 T-mowers and reels for the golf cemetery. Mr. Thurman was coming up here. He had a couple of mowers go bad on him. Beyond repair, he's not able to get parts for them. So this has been placed on the contingency. Mr. Thurman?
The report is pretty much self-explanatory. We've stretched the life of these mowers as far as we could, and sometimes we're at the mercy of the manufacturer when they decide end of service is. Some of the parts that we needed in the last couple of years we were able to get, and then all of a sudden you run into an issue with a clutch that not many of them go out, and they say, no, we quit making those. And I contacted even the company that manufactured them for the mower company, and they said it's proprietary to that company, so once they said they didn't want them, we're done with them, and I couldn't find one anywhere in the United States. So it's a tough time of year, and I know it isn't a budgeted item, but something we very much need with the event schedule and state tournament coming that we have in August. So
You're looking at replacing these with used, correct?
yes, two used units, and if I can do it cheaper than what I've projected here, I'll do it. That includes shipping, but and I can't really in this business I can't really lock down a mower without your authorization, without the money in place. So the inventory that's out there is fluid from day to day. So once the money's in place, then I can cut a deal, try to work with companies, get the best deal I can for the city.
How quickly can you have one delivered? Two delivered?
Hopefully within 2 weeks. One company said it'd be 30 days, which is really butting up against the state tournament time now. So that's the way it works sometime, I guess. But I'm sure there's one company that I've been doing business with that's still looking for units, and he said he'd try to push it through as fast as he could. Could be 2 weeks probably. So.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Allen, second by Mr. Sabers. That's all right.
Thank you.
Further discussion?
Mayor, would you like me to bring up that contingency
Please.
balance, just since you have 3 of them on the agenda? We discussed this a little bit in our management meeting this morning, just wanting to point out that typically we don't have this much already committed at this point of the year, so we really discussed this morning that we can't be committing beyond what's on here farther into the year. We do still have $250,000 set aside in case we have a potential revenue shortfall on sales tax, but I just wanted to make sure that the council had reviewed that list of contingency items. And that balance was after the ones that are on the agenda tonight.
Okay.
Right. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address it? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Item 13, request for authorization of contingency funds to purchase 2 additional basketball hoops for the Corn Palace. Mr. McCarty, you want to speak?
Yeah. This kind of started out, Coach Christensen at Dakota Wesleyan, kind of started out last year during the Mike Miller, or whatever they call it now, the Hoop City Classic, when we had all these teams from out of state coming in, and they go down to warm up, they do their day before they go down and practice, and we got the 2 hoops to practice on, and these guys come in, and they love the Corn Palace, they love playing in it. They always say, God, it'd be nice if they had a couple more hoops in here. So then we talked to Scott and see if Scott was on board and getting a couple, if we could do it, and he said he's wanted to do it for quite some time. And so Coach Christensen, he got a hold of, we were sitting at Pentagon, what was it, Danny, a couple months ago?
Yeah,
And they got hoops all over the place there, and Jason was there, and Coach Neuendorf was there, and they talk about how great a place at this point in the Corn Palace, and they said, we just need more practice. I mean, for practices, it's crazy. And Dan, he used to coach down there a while back, and he said that you've always wanted a couple extra hoops down there too. And so Jason got a hold of, we got a hold of some guys at the Pentagon. They got a hold of the company who puts the hoops up, and Jason got some bids, and I don't know if he wants to come up and talk a little bit on the bids, but Jason kind of took the bull by the horns and went and got the bids for it. And they'd go on the front of the soft seats, so when they practice, they'd have the two main hoops and 2 of them in front of the soft seats over there, so they could get a lot more accomplished. And we met with the mayor the other day with Corey Aveland and Jason Christensen. And I can't remember who else. Scott was there. and discussed it, so I don't know if Jason wants to get up and give a little rundown on it.
We should also probably note that this would have to go through the bid process because
Yeah.
the cumulative total is over 50,000. And even though it says 53,200, we currently have 60,000 setting in contingency because it says plus shipping and any additional charges due to tariffs and things like that, so.
Basically, kind of what Doc said, it actually started before that when Todd first came here. He was pretty surprised at where we're at. I've been at Wesleyan now 10 years, and I know when Mark was here, we talked about a little bit about it, and I don't remember what exactly happened. We talked about an auxiliary gym at the time, so it kind of was put on the back burner. But as far as practices go, I am a coach, and, you know, getting down there, a lot of times when our practice is over, we go back to the wellness center to get some shooting in. And for that reason it's a time, you know, we get on there at about 2:20, 2:30 when we get out of class. Mitchell rolls in at 3:45, 4, and then, you know, when we get to January and February, you know, Scott has triple headers going on and things like that. So a lot of times it's an efficiency thing. I think it would benefit our youth. Todd couldn't be here tonight. He's on vacation, but I talked to him again today, and he just said, you know, it's one of those things for our kids. We would definitely use it. You wouldn't have to worry about them. They won't be up is what I'm telling you. They'll be down and they'll be getting used a lot. So I can speak for Todd and I about that, and I just think it's a good thing for our youth.
I don't know if Jason wants to address this or Scott, but you say it's going to be down, which is great during the day, but when we have games, I'm sure the sight lines, you're going to have them up.
Yep.
They'll fold up.
They'll actually,
Fold up to the ceiling.
yeah, they're going to fold up to the back. When I talked to the guy that was doing, he did the ones at the Pentagon, and I tried to give him a call tonight, and I think he's on vacation this week, but we'll have the option of folding them forward or backwards, and I think you're going to want to go backwards because talking to Dan and talking to Scott because of the circus, you're going to want them to go the other way because of the circus and stuff, because the way they tie up and things like that.
I think I've been in every AA court in the state except for Douglas, and we never play them, and 100% of them got 6 hoops to shoot on. So, you know, scrimmaging is something that went out in the 60s. All your drills are cross court, all your shooting's done on 6 hoops. You know, I could never figure out why Mitchell only had 2 hoops. It is the worst practice facility in AA in the state, and I'm talking practice facility, because there's no hoops. You cannot do nothing. You just can't do anything. You can't do any shooting drills. You can't do any no drills. So I would back this 100%. It's just, it's almost embarrassing, like when these teams come in and they see this facility that's a one of a kind, and we have 2 hoops. You know, when I was down at the University of Iowa, they can't get them up. I mean, they got a lot more budgets and a lot more storage, but they're bringing them out, jacking them into the floor every day, every practice. And it's because they can't, because there's so many rows. But it's something that needed to be done 50 years ago. But I'm strongly in favor of this.
Just out of curiosity, is there a reason that we don't put one of them on the other side? Is there just not space? If you can fold it up, would it be possible to?
The reason for that is talking with Scott. Usually during the wintertime that the benches are always there, and we just didn't want balls slamming against them. And it'll be fine that way. A lot of, courts like this, they'll just bring 2 down when you're doing different drills and stuff. Instead of us having now, like when I do my drills, I have station on one end and station on the other. Now I can do 4 different drills rather than 2. But it doesn't matter going that way because you're never it's not big enough to go full court this way.
I was just listening to Dan say that everyone else has 6, so.
Yeah.
The other side has a stage too, which makes it a lot trickier to try and put. We looked at that. It makes it a lot trickier to try and put something up.
Okay, thanks.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Barrington, second by Mr. Allen.
So, question then, and I don't have an issue with it, but then if it has to bid, the timing, we have specifications. I see the 3rd page in there, Scott, that we know what we exactly want to order and have installed.
Yeah.
Get that together, and
as far as I know, and then we wouldn't be able to start
any sort of construction
Until after August,
After
anyway.
Corn Palace Festival.
Correct.
And then, if we have to put some sort of ramifications on when they work based on certain
Okay.
events we have, we'll have to do that. But it won't be until after Corn Palace Festival anyway, so we've got, not a lot of time, but we've got some time to get it worked out.
Enough time, probably.
Yep.
Okay.
Right. I mean, we'll work out the specifications and everything that's required for a complete job. Further discussion? Is there anybody else in the audience that wishes to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Request for authorization of contingency funds for repairs of Innovative Drive and Country Drive street improvements, project 2019-42. Mr. Croce.
Mr. Mayor and Council, this is construction for Innovative and Country Drive, and both roadways have experienced significant amount of deterioration from our winter/spring storm events. You can see our city engineer put together a report, and it put together the cost estimate for construction repairs to both roadways. You can see from the photos and from the table that the city will perform a lot of the repairs in-house with rebuilding the roadway sections. We obviously have to use our contract with the asphalt company and with our contract for concrete pavement as well, for curb and gutter repair. So these are the amounts. The amount requested total was for $65,592. There is $33,355 remaining in the street overlay maintenance. So we're requesting $32,000. I think in the contingency budget it was requesting $35,000 for the supplemental.
These roads aren't that old, but they sure are dilapidated. But what are we going to do different this time, Kyle, than was when originally put in?
So there's a couple of things we're improving on. We're improving on the gutter drainage on both roadways, and we're putting in the geogrid underneath the base when we reconstruct. That'll give a little bit more strength and construction value to the structural value to the pavement.
Are these the only two streets that are like this, or are there others that need the same?
These were the big significant ones that needed repair. There was a lot of damage. There is damage that was done to Loma Linda as well that was significant. We're going to work on that repair. There's a lot more drainage that needs to be improved in that area, so we felt like it wasn't something we could get to this year. We do have a patch repair. There's gravel down on that road. But we're going to talk to the owners as well in the surrounding area, and maybe we can do some substantial improvements as far as drainage in that area. The other areas had a lot of spot repairs and patches that we did.
There's a lot of spots that still need to happen there. I get calls on them almost weekly.
This Country Drive is very impressive. It's terrible, in a bad way. Impressive in a bad way.
Yes.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mrs. Charks,
Second.
second by Mr. Rice. He beat you by a hair. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address these? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Action to approve moving permit for Ryan Schoenfelder from an existing house to 24905 407th Avenue.
According to city ordinance, that anytime there's a move for a used house, this has to be approved by the city council. And you can see that there was a photograph of this property in your packet. It's coming from Sanborn County, so basically he's going to be moving it just a little bit further south to his home site, which is about just north of the Maui Drive, Daily Drive in the area, just north of there. And he already owns that parcel that you see in the GIS. That's right there is where the corner is. So if you just went straight north off of Ullman, Daily Drive, that's on that corner. If you went out there, you probably saw there was a shed out there. So he already has a driveway. And he's having Robinsons move the house, so somebody who's very reputable. So is Ryan here? Yeah, Ryan's here if you have questions of him.
And so we're moving it from one county location to another county location.
Correct, but it's
Not
within.
moving it within the city.
No, it's outside the city limits, but it's within our zoning jurisdiction.
Right, but, so what if we said no? And the county said yes?
The county doesn't have any jurisdiction over it.
Why
other
doesn't
than-
the county have jurisdiction for
'Cause we
moving
have
the house
zoning.
into the county?
Because we have all zoning regulations. We issue building permits in the 1 mile and all those types of things.
Interesting.
I mean, same as we do all the, if they build a house that we approve them. Yeah, so, no, that's a good question.
So this house sits on 37, is that right? Is that the old Robert Rummel house?
I'll let him answer that.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know right where it says. It's on the east side of
Is
it.
that Robert Rummel's house?
Yep.
I believe so. Yeah. I believe so.
I know where it's at. It's a nice looking house.
Right past the electric corner.
So I don't have a problem with this, but just out of curiosity, do they need to drive through town to get it
No.
to that
Maybe
spot?
go ahead and tell them.
Why don't you tell us how you're getting it there?
Pat Robinson, he said that it was pretty much a clear shot going down 37, and then I think he said he was cutting over right by Loomis, and then dropping right down to, my property is just north of the lake there, a mile.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Rice. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address it? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Board of Adjustment, entertain a motion for the city council to recess and sit as the Board of Adjustment. Motion by Mrs. Chark, second by Mr. Barrington. Discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Action to set date for Board of Adjustment hearing 7/15/2019. Michelle Hanton has applied for conditional use permit to operate an animal hospital, clinic, boarding, and shelter facility located 1104 West Havens, legally described as irregular tract 6, excluding lot right-of-way 6, and irregular tract 8, excluding road right-of-way 8, platted various in the southwest quarter of Section 21, Township 103 North, Range 60 West, City of Mitchell, Davis County, South Dakota. Property is zoned highway business.
Set the date.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Allen, second by Mr. McCardle. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Action to set the date for Board of Adjustment hearing 7/15/2019. Amanda Neva has applied for conditional use permit to operate a family residential child care business located at 516 West 10th Avenue, legally described as Lot 8, Block 39, Capital Edition, City of Mitchell, Davis County, South Dakota. Property is zoned R2, single family residential.
Move to set date.
Motion by Mr. Barrington. Second by Mr. Rice. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this one? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Reconvene the city council. Entertain a motion for the Board of Adjustment to adjourn the city council reconvene a regular session. Motion by Mr. Rice. Second by Mr. Barrington. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Action on a resolution R 2019-47, a plat of Lot 10, Block 4A of Westwood First Edition subdivision of the portion of Tract A2 and Block 4 of Westwood First Edition in the northwest quarter of Section 16, Township 103, North Range 60 west of the 5th Prime Meridian, City of Mitchell, Davis County, South Dakota.
Mayor and council, this plat was submitted to the Planning Commission, and they did recommend approval. You can tell this is out in that Westwood addition where those twin homes are being constructed, so off of like 20th Avenue.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Allen, second by Mrs. Charks. Further discussion? Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Action on Resolution R 2019-48, a plat of the lot, Lot 8, Block 9 of Westwood's First Edition, subdivision of Block 4, Westwood's First Edition in the northwest quarter of Section 16, Township 103 North, Range 60 west of the 5th Prime Meridian, City of Mitchell, Davis County, South Dakota.
Again, the Planning Commission did recommend approval, and it's in the same area.
Motion by Mr. Rice. Second by Mr. Savers. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this one? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Action on approved resolution R 2019-49, a resolution to eliminate listed city committees. This is the extra committees we've found and determined that we can do without in the city. Basically, the finance committee, we're moving to city council. Public health and safety, we're moving to city council since they're all acted on as city council anyway. Public properties, the same thing. Public works committee, same way, going to city council. Sidewalk committee, city council. And the lake committee will become, or is becoming, or has become a nonprofit organization. So they will be now known as the Friends of Fire Steel on their own, as their own entity, and will no longer be a lake committee.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. McCardle.
Second.
Second by Mr. Rice. Further discussion?
And I want to point out, and the mayor was on the radio and talking about this morning, and I received 2 inquiries after that. We're not trying to eliminate city or citizen input.
Nope.
All of these opportunities for input from finance, public health, properties, everything else will still take place at city council meetings, and we'll give anybody and everybody their potential time to speak to them.
Correct.
The only one that kind of goes away, and if you're interested in Lake Committee becoming a nonprofit, but the city will still have our lake restoration and other budget items that we have for the lake under the city council, and so if you want to make inputs like that on the lake, the concern I had from the 2 people where we're trying to take away public input, and that's not the case. All the public input will still be there. It will just be at city council meetings, heard by the entire council and not by individual committees.
Correct, and for the most part, these councils were in city council to be anyway, and they were being acted on, and to do it correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Johnson, what we should have been doing is if they met as a committee, they had their minutes, and we used to approve the minutes right after the meeting, and we were supposed to be waiting at least a meeting, correct, before approving, so we're kind of streamlining this as well. But you're still going to have input. We'll still have these decisions made by the council, discussed within the council. People will have their time to come up and talk about them or speak to each individual issue. We just will no longer have a dedicated committee for that.
One other question that we received on the lake committee is that the lake is still the municipal lake. So that nonprofit board, if they had recommendations for something that's happening, it's still going to be heard at city council too. So there'd be time for that public input at that time.
Correct.
Mayor, what was the thought process of not doing the traffic commission?
The traffic commission is, what we're going to do is it will be met in City Hall, or we're actually looking at the codified portion of that.
Right.
And what it needs to constitute. And what the change will be is right now we set the public safety director as the chair, thank you, of that. And I don't think it's right that an employee of the city be chairing their bosses, in essence. Yes, there'll be more to come on it. We're just it's kind of a reorganizational thing. There will be more that come forth, but some of these are set forth in city ordinance.
Right.
And it takes more than just a resolution to deal with them.
Right. So specifically, the Traffic Commission has its own chapter in the actual code. So it takes a little bit more to deal with that one, and there might be 1 or 2 other ones that we'll be dealing with too.
So this is just the first step. You'll see more coming in. These were the easy ones to eliminate by resolution.
Easy. Yeah, let me tell you about easy. And quite honestly, when I took office a year ago, I started looking at these things, and it was like, oh my God, this is a nightmare. And this will streamline that a little bit. We're not taking any voice away from anybody. They're still going to have the opportunity to speak to the individual items. What we're doing is eliminating the need to have committees meet all the time. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Does anybody in the audience wish to address these? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Action to approve agreement A 2019-27, developers, owners of D&D Long's first edition for utility extension, project 2019-31. Mr. Croce, are you going to speak to any of this, or do you need to speak to any of this?
Mr. Mayor and Council, I'll speak briefly, and then if Justin wants to add anything that I've forgotten. So this is an agreement for the Lawson, Christensen, and Goldhammer. This is for utility construction at Maddie Street north of First Street. So this construction will actually connect utilities, both sanitary and water, to the first two lots on the east side of Maddie Street north of First, and also provide for future extension to the property to the east, which is Goldhammer property. So Infrastructure Design Group had created this design and came up with the cost share. As you can see, the developer and owner share is the $65,823.80. The city share is the $127,869.20, and that city share will be actually allocated to the future development to the west when that happens. We have the funds separated for the sanitary and water enterprise funds, and this agreement is between the city and the Goldhammer Trust, the Lawsons, Christensens, and Goldhammers.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Allen. Second by Mr. McCardle. Further discussion? Did you have anything to add, Mr. John?
I don't think so.
Okay. Anybody wish to speak to this in the audience? Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Action to award bid, whoops, oh yeah, sorry. Action to award bid for D&D Long's utility extensions, project 2019-31.
Mr. Mayor and Council, and this is the actual agenda request to approve Metro Construction, award to Metro Construction, who was the low bidder at $181,888.
They're gonna start doing this work real soon? Or don't, not sure.
I think they have a completion date in November, so it will be this year.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McCardle, second by Mr. Barrington. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this one? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Action to approve agreement A 2019-28, professional services agreement, Corn Palace Plaza Phase 2 design.
Mayor and council members, in your packet is a professional services agreement to do the design, construction, bid documents for Phase 2 of the Corn Palace Plaza. We did have a subcommittee that met last week to review which options to proceed with as part of that Phase 2 development. After discussion, it was recommended that we look at going ahead and getting the design done for the shade structure, which is right here, that includes a misting feature, the permanent stage, which is right here, and just to bring up our previous discussions when we had the community input sessions, there was a lot of questions about where exactly that's located. It's actually after the last mural. So it's in that green space, but it falls just after that last mural. And then the third feature would be the, I don't know if it shows on here. You can't really see it very well there. Well, here you do. The entrance gate on the east side. In addition to this, we are going to be looking for funding. This red rock is really a tourism feature, and we're going to be looking for funding for that feature as well. The total estimated cost for the project would be close to $500,000. The city has $350,000 budgeted in this year's budget. We will be pursuing donations from and sponsorship opportunities with local groups on both the shade structure and the stage. The thought was if we did this all at once, you would only have the plaza disrupted one time, and there would be some cost savings in getting that project done at once versus mobilization twice. The project would be anticipated, we would go to bid in September. Construction would start in the fall. It may carry forward till the next year to get the final things done, depending on when the ground freezes and what they have left. So this also could be a 2-year payment project. So council could, if we aren't able to secure enough funding, put the remainder out of reserves in the entertainment tax out of the 2020 budget. The intention would, the intention would be that the plaza would be open in the spring, ready for the summer season. There was some questions about the stage. The stage did include the technology equipment necessary to run everything that you do with a stage. So we already have the conduit and power ready to go under the plaza space now. So it would really be connecting that permanent stage to that conduit and technology that has been planned. And I can answer any questions that council may have.
And just, I guess, procedurally, if this is approved, they'll put together all the information, bids will go out, and the group will take a look at what comes back and.
Yep, the proposal
And then
has them
propose
coming in,
something back.
meeting with the committee one more time to review the final design before bid. The council will still have to do a bid award because this is over bid limit, so you will see the
We'd see
final
that.
product at that point.
And they'd have a better idea on timing of construction and other stuff at that point.
Yep.
Move to approve agreement A 2019-28.
Okay, motion by, motion by Mrs. Charts,
Second.
second by Mr. Barrington. Further discussion?
I have one question. Stephanie, can you put the picture up of
The last one, I think.
the last one you showed? Nope.
I'm getting there, sorry.
Okay.
Slow. Maybe the computer's hot too.
There.
Okay?
It appears as though what is now the scoreboard's parking lot is going to be gone away.
No, actually, I noticed that was in there too. That was one of the conversations that we had initially as a future long-term development of that area. So in the future, if there was a partnership between, the chamber actually owns that space now, and if they wanted to develop that into courtyard space, this illustration that was shown just really shows how that could play into the larger area. But there's no intention for that courtyard to be included in this phase.
Okay.
All the work would stay contained in the plaza. And I should have, we did have other images that took that out, and I didn't even think about it when I uploaded that, so.
Good enough, thank you.
Yep.
Further discussion? Does anybody in the audience wish to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. First reading of ordinance O 2019-09, an ordinance of the city of Mitchell that changes the zoning district classification of real property legally described as Block 19, Home Park, First Edition, Davis County, South Dakota, from R4, High Density Residential District, TWC, Transportation Warehouse, and Commercial Districts.
Again, this was submitted to the Planning Commission at their last regular meeting and did recommend approval. This is out in the Home Park Edition, which is just on the west side of town. As you can see, that's Fifth Avenue, where that big road that goes through there, and that whole block is commonly owned, where it says R4 to TWC. That's what the party wishes to do that. He wishes to construct a commercial building there, and so in order to accommodate that, then it has to be obviously zoned commercial, because he's wishing to put a structure where he would rent it out for commercial purposes. So I don't know if Mr. Linky's here. I don't see him here. But you can see there is some TWC up on the north side there. So
This is west of Lytle, right?
Correct. West and southwest a little bit.
Yes. Well,
Yeah,
Lytle
sorry.
is east of this lot, and then it's Fifth Avenue, which is a gravel road out
Right.
there.
You probably
It's what
didn't-
you see on the south side.
Yeah, you probably didn't notice, we did notify the county, because this is a county road, just to let them know, so I have not heard back from them. About in this area is where the transition that you see Home Park changes. Majority of Home Park that is out of the city limits is TWC on the east side, and it's primarily residential on the west side. But it's kind of mixture. This is right in the area where it mixes and matches a little bit, so. And it seems to be, again, that's not in the city limits, so if you were going to have utilities, it'd either be rural water or a well or septic. So the only thing that is corrected there, there's an error on the map the county had. There is an alley that cuts through there. This map is not correct. There is a platted alley. The party that owns the whole block has thought about it at some point, maybe vacating that alley, but he'd have to do that through the county process, so.
Planning and zoning voted 4-0 on
Yes.
approval of this. I'm going to make a motion to approve put on first reading.
Okay, a motion by Mr. Allen. Second by Mr. Smith. Further discussion? Does anybody in the audience wish to address it? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Executive session, motion to enter into executive session in accordance with South Dakota Codified Law 125-24, negotiations, South Dakota Codified Law 124-23, legal.
Motion to approve executive session. Go into executive.
Motion by Mr. McCardle. Second by Mr. Allen. You guys want to hang around in here, don't you?
Nobody want to go in there, do they?
Further discussion?
I'll go in there.
Anybody in the audience wish to address it? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. There will be no action after executive session.